everyone, welcome back to my garden. Fall is in the air and I'm so excited to be out on my garden today. As you can see, it's bursting with gorgeous blooms even as the seasons begin to change, and that means it's the perfect time to make a beautiful dried flower wreath for my front door. This wreath is super easy to make and it'll last for months to come. Plus, it's a great way to use those beautiful flowers from your garden before the season officially ends. You ready? So let's get started. First, we need to gather our flowers. I'm using a mix of hydrangeas, celosia, ageratum, and gomphrena because they're still blooming amazingly in my garden. These all dry beautifully and hold their color really well. I'm also adding some magnolia leaves for some greenery and structure to the wreath. When cutting your flowers, be sure to leave about 4 to 6 inches of stem. This will make it easier to insert them into the wreath or tie them in bunches and attach them to the form. And a little tip, choose flowers that are just starting to bloom. They'll dry much better and maintain their shape. Now that we've gathered some blooms, let's start making the wreath. For my wreath base, I'm using a grapevine wreath. I had it laying around. I didn't have to buy anything new, and drying flowers right on this wreath form works really well. I love the natural rustic look it gives. You can find it at most craft stores, and this is actually one that I've been using for several years to make wreaths, so I'm just giving it a new life. I simply tuck the stems of my flowers and leaves right into the grapevine wreath. I like to work in sections, adding a few stems of each type of flower as I go. Since I'm using these larger limelight hydrangea blooms, I'm going to start with them first and then tuck in the other flowers after. And while you work, don't overthink it. Just have fun and let your creativity flow. And don't worry if a few stems feel loose. You can always use some floral wire to secure them later, especially if you have some heavier blooms or if your wreath will be hanging outdoors. I didn't use any floral wire on mine. I just really tucked in the stems and packed them in tightly, and it's looking really good. Making wreaths for my garden flowers is really one of my favorite things to do in the fall because it's a great way to spend time in the gardens. I'm not just like doing cleanup, and I get to enjoy the sights and sound of the season while making something really beautiful. It's looking so good. I like to step back every so often and look at the wreath from different angles. This helps me make sure it's nice and balanced and that I'm not leaving any big gaps. If I need to grab more flowers, I just run back out to the garden and get more. And there you have it, a beautiful one-of-a-kind dried flower wreath. I love how all of the colors and textures work together, and as the blooms age, they'll fade and look really beautiful over time. And now this beautiful wreath has found its new home on my front porch. I think it adds the perfect touch of autumn, don't you? And now with my fall wreath complete, let's take a tour of my gardens. The color is amazing right now. And that's it, you guys. Thanks so much for joining me in the gardens today. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and quick garden tour. If you give this wreath a try, please be sure to share your creations with me in the comments below so I can see your creations. And don't forget to subscribe for more DIY projects, gardening tips, and beautiful inspiration. Thanks for watching. Enjoy a beautiful day.